Before I start this video, please note that The Grey Garden is not intended for children or younger teens. While Deep Sea Prisoner has a very cutesy art style, this series contains a lot of gore and themes of sexual assault. If any of that deeply triggers you, then please do not play any of Deep Sea Prisoner's games. I'm just warning because Deep Sea Prisoner's games have a bad habit of having a really bad reputation online because the game's adorable art style tends to make people think it's intended for children when it's not. With that out of the way, let's start the video. Hey everyone, Lu here. I know this video was a long time coming. Today, I'll be reviewing The Grey Garden, part of the same universe as WeebaLu. Why did I take so long to review this game? Well, unlike WeebaLu, there is a lot of lore. Roll the intro, and let's get started. One correction for my WeebaLu video, it turns out Deep Sea Prisoner is a woman. Yeah, so about a month or so after that video came out, she started doing Twitch and confirmed her gender on Instagram. I can't read Japanese, so I mainly follow her Instagram for her lovely artwork and her pet chinchilla, so I had no idea she would refer to herself with female pronouns in earlier Instagram posts. Whoops on my part, and I apologize for the mistake. On to the review. The Grey Garden was released in December 2012 by Deep Sea Prisoner, where she continuously updated the game until 2014 and still continues to add to this game's story in other media. She's made Doujinshi, a gender swap parody for April Fool's Day in 2014, not to mention the extended universe for this series like WeebaLu and Mogeko Castle. It's clear to say, judging by her art gallery alone, that The Grey Garden is her favorite game she's worked on compared to WeebaLu. Another thing before starting this story for the game. Atu uses they/them pronouns, so I'll be referring to them as that throughout the video. It was assumed Atu was a gender, but more recent posts by Deep Sea Prisoner confirmed that's not actually the case, which now leaves many people confused. I just know that they use they/them pronouns both in-game and by Deep Sea Prisoner herself. Yosafire is a young demon girl living in a garden with her friends. It's explained that the world of demons and angels used to be divided when Atu and Kakalb were at war with each other centuries ago, but made peace together, where now a world once divided in black and white is now a world of a grey garden filled with peace and happiness. Though there is a difference between a demon and a devil. A devil rules over the demons, and a demon is pretty much self-explanatory. The story is basically Yosafire, a demon, and her friends working together to ensure that peace remains within the Grey Garden. It's a lot easier to digest than with WeebaLu since there isn't the whole thing about a secret betrayal and there's no lost memories here. Still an elaborate world and story though. Basically, the world in which the Grey Garden takes place is only one out of many worlds. It turns out that Atu and Kakalb were at war with each other. It had gotten so bad that they actually destroyed their world. Just before Kakalb was going to kill Atu, something clicked in both of them where they decided to end the war and created a new world where demons and angels are no longer divided. It's never explained what clicked in him to give up this war and fall for Atu, but Deep Sea Prisoner hinted that it will be answered in future projects. In this world, siblings could actually be demon or angel, as Kakalb's brother is actually an angel, showing just how divided even families were before the Grey Garden was made. Yet demons do not solely exist in the Grey Garden. There are demons from multiple worlds. Demons can actually make portals and visit other people or bring people into other worlds. Though most don't really care about the Grey Garden, one particular devil does. Ivlis is a demon from a flame world in particular who wants to take over the Grey Garden. His motives? Well, we don't fully find out in this game, but according to a flash video Deep Sea Prisoner made, Ivlis is a devil born from a sun god in his world named Cialos. He showed doubt in his sun god, where he was cast down to the flame world and lost his angelic status. His goal is to rise up to become more powerful than Cialo so he can take revenge for abandoning him. His plan for this is to seize the Grey Garden and drain Cacalb of all his power to do so, since Cacalb is one of the oldest devils. When Yosafire and her friends find out Ivlis wants Cacalb's powers, they all work together in true Earthbound friendly style to beat the shit out of him and take him down. The endings here differ in two ways. If you fail to defeat Ivlis in the end, Cacalb dies, which leaves Atu to mourn the loss of their love. If you defeat Ivlis, he gets most of his powers drained by Cacalb, where he eventually has a it's complicated relationship with another demon named Satanic that is vaguely shown in the Wata노hara remake. There's a few other endings too. They're fairly simple. They're only bad endings, and it's basically because you lost a battle or purposefully went the wrong way or something like that. Basically, it's the usual you fucked up and now you're gonna die a gruesome death ending from Deep Sea Prisoner. Though I'm glad the endings are pretty straightforward and that it's finally really easy to get the true ending. I don't know what it is about RPG Maker games, but for some reason, the true end is always super difficult to get in these games. Like for instance, in Eve, you need to talk to Gary like 100 times in every area where you're alone with him to rank up an invisible friendship value with him, or with Wata노hara, where you need to play the game twice to get the true ending on your third playthrough. This time, it's simply just defeat Ivlis, and I appreciate that a lot. The story is simple, but there's a lot of really deep lore behind it. It does a really damn good job showing all kinds of lore opened up to this game, and opens the door for characters to visit other games basically, through confirming that there are other worlds, allowing for crossovers. Deep Sea Prisoner has said a few times that she does plan to someday make more games, though I ask that you all be patient with her ability to make games. She's just one person, guys. They'll all come out eventually, just give her time. Though I do have to warn, when it comes to the story, Deep Sea Prisoner is a really big fan of dark humor and portraying toxic relationships in a comedic manner. Then again, nothing about this story is super serious. Sure, there's a message of harmony and optimism, but it's also not trying to be super deep either. I do have to say though, for those who enjoy dark and earthbound-like humor, this game is hilarious. I don't know why, but the scene of the Mogeko crying over the other Mogeko named Michael was just hilarious to me. Also, Yosafire and Rawberry roasting Emalf was pretty damn funny too. If it were a story trying to be super serious and put this kind of stuff in, I would give it major negatives, but considering this is a game where her story's borderline on a fun silliness, it's fine by me. As I said, I like dark comedy, but I know that's not for everyone. Overall, the story is great. Maybe a little quick to the point, but I still really like it. I do love the main characters. They all play off each other really well and balance each other to a point where no one feels like there's too much of the other. Yosafire and Macarona in particular are my favorites. Though I have to say that there are genuinely way too many characters. I know it's a big, elaborate world, thus involves a lot of detail, but at some point, it's just too much to keep up. I know there's at least 30 characters in this game alone, and although they're extremely unique, and I can immediately tell who is who, it's still hard to keep up with. Like, even Toho Project would tell Deep Sea Prisoner to calm down with the amount of characters she has. If you count every character for every game, comic, and animated video she has, it's something ridiculous like 200 characters. Though I do love them, I really do. Atu is another personal favorite. I love how smug they are, and their relationship with Cacalb is just adorable. Cacalb and Atu are a personal OTP of mine for Deep Sea Prisoner games. Fun fact, by the way, Cacalb and Atu actually have a daughter named Silhouette. Not much is known, but sometime in the future after the game, Atu and Cacalb have a daughter. Ivlis also has a son with this character I named earlier named Satanic. Yes, by the way, male demons can get pregnant in the Grey Garden? I don't know, I haven't read that doujinshi because frankly, I'm too afraid to know. Licorice looks to be friends with Silhouette sometimes, but he's also a little fucked up in the head due to his daddy issues with Satanic, and very gross mama boy issues with Ivlis. Speaking of Ivlis, I do feel like he is a little weak as an antagonist when you compare him to Sal from Wadanohara or Mogeko from Mogeko Castle. His motivations are a little too vague if you didn't check Deep Sea Prisoner's other works. I feel like more time should have been to show Ivlis instead of Imalf and the other two. Maybe he just feels a little weaker by comparison to the other antagonists from her other games. Overall, the characters are amazing and wonderfully charming, but there is too many characters to a point where it's genuinely overwhelming to catch up with the story. Now, since my Wadanohara video, I have gotten a little more familiar with turn-based RPGs thanks to the Persona series, and I've been replaying the Pokemon games, so with that experience in mind, and from Wadanohara, I will say the gameplay is honestly a little worse here. It's very slow and honestly a little tedious with how much grinding you have to do. That's the part that's always irritated me about turn-based games is the grinding. I will give it props to making all non-boss enemies optional with the exception of a few that are in the way of items you want to get, but it still ends up feeling a little tedious. The game also allows you to have a literal infinite health pickups in the beginning with the apples. I'm not kidding, you can literally be immortal with the apples as they heal 60 HP and there's no consequence for farming a fuck ton of apples. Non-boss enemies don't even do any real damage later in the game, so you can just hoard the apples and enjoy yourself. If you really want to avoid grinding too much, you can farm the Mogeko variants of certain monsters later in the game that give way more XP. That's what I did, and I felt like I wasn't on equal leveling of Ivlis, so it made the final boss like stupidly easy. The roster does feel balanced though. Yosafire is damage, Froze is a healer, Macarona is the glass cannon damage, and Rawberry is the tank. I also love that each character has a unique sprite animation the stronger they get, and it gives off some really fun Earthbound vibes with it. The music in these fights is also really nice, but there is one problem with this game, and that there is a very limited number of songs. There are a lot of parts where you're going to be hearing the same song over and over again, and it does get a little annoying. It makes me wish there was some kind of mute button in case I don't want to hear the music. That's just me though. Non-boss enemy designs also leave a lot to be desired, and there's not really any variant in these designs. If there's one non-flaming bat enemy in that level, that's literally all you're going to fight until the final boss and next chapter. Though there's a lot more CGs here than Wadanohara, well, before Wadanohara's remake. I know I keep mentioning Wadanohara's remake, but it's currently not translated yet at the time of this video. I'll probably talk about it during my final Deep Sea Prisoner game review for sure. Though I'm being really fair with all of this because I know she did all of the assets by herself aside from the music, so it's not fair for me to be super critical when it's literally one human being doing all of this. Considering this was all done by, again, one person, the game is amazing for that since pretty much all the assets were done by herself with zero help, aside from allowing translations, obviously, and purchasing stock music for RPG Maker. Overall, the gameplay is really tedious and just a little worse than Wadanohara, but it's not the worst RPG out there either. This isn't like Pokemon Silver with Millie's milk tank. It just means you're going to be seeing a lot of worms and bees, that's all. Although I am more critical of this game because I've gotten a little better at giving constructive criticism where it needs it, I do genuinely really love this game. Yeah, it has flaws like too many characters, sluggish gameplay, and all that, but it makes up for a really engaging story and wonderfully charming characters, even though there's sometimes too many of them. You can tell the Deep Sea Prisoner really loves this game from just how much content she makes for it. From a massive amount of keychains, doujinshis, and April Fool's Day gender swap version of the first hour of the game, and even characters born after the game's events. I do think this game needs a manga though. To my knowledge, she hasn't started making a manga for the Grey Garden yet, but I'd love to read a manga for this. Though watch as I say this, Deep Sea Prisoner announces a manga for the Grey Garden. Fun fact, by the way, Deep Sea Prisoner actually takes commissions. Though you do have to speak Japanese for her to take these commissions as far as I'm aware. Her commissions are fairly expensive, and she does draw not safe for work content. I highly recommend you only go there if you are genuinely serious about art commissions and are over the age of 18. She also does VTuber rigs, but these are expensive as hell. Let me tell you though, her design for Fuwaku Uni is literally the cutest VTuber I've ever seen. This is literally all of my aesthetics put into one, and I absolutely love it. If you can't afford her commissions or VTuber rigs, she does sell merch. She sells coasters, keychains, buttons, physical copies of her short story manga, and more at fairly good prices. She even does live streams where she draws her characters and answers lore questions about them. Link to her commissions, merch store, and VG Person's website will all be down in the description for anyone interested. That's it for this video though. What do you think of the Grey Garden? Have you heard of it or played it? To be honest, I heard of this game for years, but I only played it a couple of years ago compared to Wadanohara and other RPG horror games where I played them obsessively at 13. Let me know down below what you think of this video. As the grand finale to Deep Sea Prisoners trilogy, for now, we're gonna take a look at Mogeko Castle next time. When's that gonna happen? I have no idea because oh boy does Mogeko Castle have some dark themes I'm gonna have to tiptoe around. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. And if any older new subs would like to help support the channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who would like to help with video ideas or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, then I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!